If a man can go days without talking to you, I need you to hear me clearly. Music. That is not busy. That is not stressed. That is not he's just going through something. Music, that is a message. And the reason it hurts so bad is because deep down, you already know what it means. You're sitting there checking your phone, replaying your last conversation, wondering if you said too much, wondering if you said too little, while he's living his life like your silence doesn't cost him a thing. And the scary part, the more you chase, the more you teach him, you'll accept crumbs. But today, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do when he disappears. So, he feels your absence louder than your words, and he reaches out first. Let me tell you something that might sting a little bit, but it's going to save you years of heartbreak music if you're willing to accept it. When a man can go days without talking to you, that is not an accident. That is not confusion. That is not some mysterious male behavior that you need a PhD to decode. That is a decision. And the reason you're in pain is because your spirit knows the truth, but your heart keeps negotiating with it. See, the hardest thing for a woman to do is admit that a man's silence is an answer. Because if you admit it, you have to stop waiting. You have to stop hoping. You have to stop checking your phone like it's a heartbeat monitor. And you have to stop building a relationship in your imagination, music, while he's living in reality. I need you to understand this. A grown man does what he wants to do. Music, period. If he wants to call you, he will. If he wants to text you, he will. If he wants to see you, he will. If he wants to keep you close, he will make sure you feel close. Music. And if he doesn't, he will make sure you feel uncertain. 'Cause uncertainty, music, is the space where he can keep you without committing to you. Now, I know some of you already trying to defend him, but he works a lot, but he has stress, but he's not a big texter, but he's been hurt before. Listen to me carefully. A man can be all of those things, and music still be consistent with the woman he values. The problem is not that he's busy. The problem is that you are not a priority, and I'm not saying that to shame you. I'm saying that to wake you up. Because too many women are out here confusing potential with proof. You're loving the idea of who he could be, not the reality of who he is. You're falling in love with the version of him that shows up for 2 days and disappears for 5. You're emotionally attached to the man who gives you just enough to keep you hooked, but never enough to make you feel safe. And let me tell you why that is dangerous. Because your mind starts to normalize the bare minimum. You start calling crumbs effort. You start calling silent space. You start calling inconsistency complicated. You start calling disrespect miscommunication music. And before you know it, you're in a relationship where you're doing all the emotional labor, all the reaching out, all the forgiving, all the understanding, and he's doing whatever he feels like. Music. That's not love. That's you auditioning for a role he even decided to cast. Here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. If he can go days without talking to you, it means he's not afraid to lose you. That's the part that hurts. Music. Because you're afraid to lose him. You're afraid to push too hard. You're afraid to ask for too much. Music. You're afraid that if you speak up, he'll disappear for good. So you shrink. You become quieter. You become easier. You become more cool. You try to act like you don't care while you're dying inside. And the saddest part is this. The more you tolerate, the more you train him. You are teaching him how to treat you. Every time you accept a late reply without a conversation, you teach him he can delay. Every time you send another message after he ignored the first one, you teach him you will chase. Every time you pretend you're okay with the inconsistency, you teach him that your needs are negotiable. Every time you stay available while he's unavailable, you teach him that he can have access to you without responsibility. And let me tell you something else. Men respect what they have to work for. Men value what they have to protect. Men commit to what they know they could lose. But if you make it easy for him to disappear and come back whenever he wants, he will. Not because he's evil, Not because he's a monster, but because human beings don't change what they don't have to change. You can't keep rewarding behavior that is hurting you and expect it to stop. Now, I want you to check yourself right here because this is where self-reflection has to kick in. Ask yourself this question honestly. Why are you still emotionally investing in someone who has shown you that your presence is optional? I'm not asking that to blame you. I'm asking that because the answer will reveal the wound you're trying to heal through him. For some of you, it's abandonment. You're trying to prove you're worth staying for. For some of you, it's rejection. You're trying to win the love you didn't get before. For some of you, it's low self-worth. You think this is as good as it gets. For some of you, it's loneliness. You'd rather have inconsistent love than no love at all. But hear me, inconsistent love is not love. It is anxiety. It is music, emotional instability. It is you constantly trying to earn what should be freely given in a healthy relationship. A real relationship doesn't leave you guessing. A real relationship doesn't punish you with silence. A real relationship doesn't make you feel like you're too much for wanting basic communication. Music. A real relationship doesn't make you feel crazy for expecting consistency. And I need you to stop telling yourself you're asking music for too much when you're really asking the wrong person. Because when you are dealing with the right man, you don't have to beg for attention. You don't have to fight music for basic respect. You don't have to shrink your needs to keep him comfortable. Music. The right man will not make you feel like you're hard to love. He will make you feel secure. Now let's talk about the emotional trap that keeps you stuck. The trap is this. When he disappears, music, you start focusing on getting him back instead of asking why you lost him in the first place. Music, you start thinking, say, what can I do to make him text? What can I do to make him miss me? What can I say to get a response? And the more you focus on getting him to reach out, the more you forget that you deserve someone who doesn't need to be forced. You don't need a strategy to make a man act right. You need music standards that make the wrong man leave. And that's where the power is. The power is not in your beauty. The power is not in your body. The power is not in your ability to be sweet. The power is not in your ability to be understanding. The power is in your willingness to walk away from what doesn't honor you. Because the moment you stop fearing his absence music stops controlling you. Let me say that again because somebody needs it to sink into their bones. The moment you stop fearing his absence stops controlling you. A lot of women are not in love with the man. They're in love with the hope. They're in love with the moments when he's good. They're in love with the potential. And when he disappears, it doesn't just hurt because you miss him. It hurts because it triggers your fear that you are not enough. But you are enough. You're just pouring your love into a man who hasn't earned it. And I want you to understand music something. A man's silence does not define your value. It defines his level of investment. It defines his emotional maturity. It defines what kind of partner he is capable of being right now. And if he is capable of leaving you in emotional limbo, you need to stop romanticizing him as the one, because the one does not leave you starving. The one does not leave you confused. The one does not leave you questioning your worth. So here's what this section is about: waking you up. Not to hate him, not to become bitter, not to become cold, but to become clear. Clear women are dangerous because they don't beg. Clear women are powerful because they don't chase. Clear women don't fight for attention, they attract effort. And if you music can accept this truth right now, that his silence is a choice, then you can finally stop making excuses for a man who is showing you in real time how much access to you means to him. Because once you see it for what it is, you can't unsee it. And that's when everything changes. Let's go deeper now, because if you don't understand what's really happening in a man's mind when he pulls back, you're going to keep reacting emotionally, music, instead of responding strategically. And when you react emotionally, you lose your power. You start doing things that feel good for 5 seconds, but cost you your dignity for 5 months. So listen to me closely. A man doesn't pull away because he suddenly forgot you exist. He pulls away because he's testing what kind of access he can have to you without giving you what you deserve. He's testing how much you'll tolerate. He's testing how quickly you'll fold. He's testing how available you are in music. And most importantly, he's testing whether you have standards or just feelings. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but I'm not here to baby you. I'm here to prepare you. Men move based on what they respect. Women often move based on what they feel. That's why a woman will stay loyal to a man who confuses her, while a man will leave a woman the moment he no longer feels inspired, challenged, or required to show up. Music. And before you get offended, understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying men don't have feelings. Music. I'm saying men are wired differently in how they respond to pressure, pursuit, and value. Music. Here's the first truth. A man will always make time for what he truly values, not what he says he values, not what he claims he values when you're crying, not what he promises he values when he thinks he might lose you. What he truly values is revealed in his behavior when he's comfortable. When a man is serious about you, he doesn't forget to check in. When a man is serious about you, he doesn't leave you wondering if you're still on his mind. When a man is serious about you, he doesn't go silent for days like that's normal because he understands something. Consistency is not a favor, it's a requirement. So, why does he do it? Because many men want relationship benefits without relationship responsibility. Let me break that down. He wants the comfort of knowing you're there. He wants the ego boost of being wanted. He wants the emotional support when he's low. He wants the affection when he's lonely. Music. He wants the attention when he's bored. He wants the validation when he needs it, but he does not want the accountability of being a consistent man. And if you let him, he will keep taking. A man will take as much as you allow him to take. He will take your time. He will take your energy. He will take your emotional labor. He will take your patience. He will take music, your forgiveness. He will take your softness. And he will keep taking until you finally decide you're done. Now, here's the second truth. When you chase a man, music, you don't increase his love. You decrease his respect. This is where a lot of women get it twisted. Music. You think if I show him I care, he'll care more. No. If you show a man you care while he is showing you he doesn't, you are not proving love. You are proving desperation. And that doesn't make a man step up. That makes him relax because now he knows you're not going anywhere. You become predictable. And when you become predictable, you become optional. That's why the more you text, the more he delays. That's why the more you explain, the more he ignores. That's why the more you try to fix it, the more he avoids. Because deep down, he's thinking, she'll be there when I'm ready. And that right there is the most dangerous sentence in a woman's life. She'll be there when I'm ready. Because that means he is treating you like a placeholder, not a priority. Now let's talk about what silence really is. Silence is control. Music. It is a power move. It is emotional leverage. A lot of men don't even realize they're doing it consciously, but they know it works. They know when they go quiet, you start overthinking. They know when they pull back, you start leaning in. They know when they disappear, you start chasing. And the moment you chase, they have the upper hand. Because now the relationship is not built on mutual effort, it's built on your anxiety. And some men live off that, not because they're in love, because they like the feeling of being music needed. Let me tell you something. A man who truly loves you does not enjoy watching you suffer. A man who truly values you does not enjoy leaving you confused. A man who truly respects you does not enjoy making you question your worth. So, if he's okay with that, pay attention. Now, here's the third truth. Men pull back when they don't feel required to lead. A man steps up when he feels inspired and challenged to become better, but he only feels that when he's with a woman who has standards and self-respect, not a woman who threatens. Music, not a woman who nags, not a woman who begs, a woman who is calm, clear, and willing to walk away. because a man will not compete for something he already has. If you are giving him full access to your body, your time, your emotions, your loyalty, your attention, your softness, your forgiveness, while he is inconsistent, then what reason does he have to change? None. He's already winning. And I need you to understand this. A man is not motivated music by what you give. He is motivated by what he has to earn. That's why a man will chase a woman who has boundaries. That's why a man will respect a woman who doesn't over-explain. That's why a man will reach out to a woman who doesn't chase him because she becomes a challenge again. She becomes music valuable again. She becomes something he can lose. Now, some of you are thinking, but music, what if he's genuinely overwhelmed? What if he's depressed? What if he's dealing with family issues? Listen, life happens, stress happens, depression happens, trauma happens. But if a man is emotionally mature, he will communicate. He will say, hey, I'm going through something. I'm not ignoring you. I just need a little time. That's all it takes. The problem is not the need for space. The problem is the lack of respect, because disappearing without explanation is music disrespectful. It is selfish. It is emotionally immature. And if you accept it now, you will accept worse later. And that's what I'm trying to protect music you from. Now, let's talk about the biggest misunderstanding women have about men. Women think love changes a man. Doesn't. A woman's love does not transform a man who does not want to grow. A woman's patience does not heal a man who does not want to be accountable. A woman's loyalty does not music inspire a man who is addicted to attention. A woman's softness does not fix a man who is committed to his selfishness. Love does not change a man. Consequences do, standards do, boundaries do. The fear of losing you does, and the respect he has for you does. Now, I want you to see this clearly. Music. When he goes days without talking to you, he is telling you where you rank in his life. He is telling you how important your feelings are to him. He is telling you what kind of man he is under pressure. And the mistake women make is they take that information and they try to negotiate with it. You can't negotiate with a man's character. You can't argue a man into consistency. Music. You can't love a man into maturity. You can't text a man into valuing you. You, music, can't cry a man into being the partner you need, and I know that hurts because you want to believe if you just say the right thing, do the right thing, be the right kind of woman, he'll finally show up. But the truth is, if he wanted to show up, he would. So what do you do with this information? You stop taking his silence personally and start taking it seriously. You stop reacting and start observing. You stop chasing and start choosing. Because the moment you stop being available for inconsistency, that's when you find out what he really wants. And in the next section, I'm going to show you the exact power move that flips the whole dynamic without you begging, without you arguing, and without you losing your dignity. Now we get to the part that separates music, the women who stay stuck, from the women who get their power back. Because what I'm about to tell you is simple, but it is not easy. And the reason it's not easy is because it requires you to do the one thing your emotions don't want to do when you miss him. It requires you to stop reaching. It requires you to stop checking. It requires you to stop chasing. And it requires you to stop making his silence your emergency. Here is the power move that works when a man can go days without talking to you. You remove your attention. You remove your access, and you return to your life like you were never waiting in the first place. Not to play games, not to punish him, not to manipulate him, but to restore the balance. Because right now, the relationship is unbalanced. He has the power, and you have the anxiety. He has the freedom, and you have the fear. He has the control, and you have the confusion, and that is not love. That is a power imbalance. So, what do? You stop feeding the dynamic. You stop being the one who keeps it alive. Let me explain it in a way you'll never forget. A man's attention is like a faucet. He turns it on when he feels like it. Music, and he turns it off when he feels like it. But your attention is the water. If you keep pouring your water into his cup, even when he stops pouring into yours music, you will stay thirsty and he will stay comfortable. So the first thing you do is this. You go silent too. But listen to me carefully. There's a difference between silence with strength and silence with music bitterness. Bitterness is when you go silent hoping he notices. Strength is when you go silent because you've noticed. You are not doing this to make him jealous. You are not doing this to teach him a lesson. You are doing music this because your time is valuable. Your peace is valuable. Your heart is valuable. And you are no longer giving it to a man who treats it like it's disposable. Now, here's the part where most women mess up. They go silent for 2 hours. Then they crack. They go silent for a day, then they send the "Hey stranger" text. They go silent for a weekend, then they post something on social media hoping he sees it. They go silent, but they're still music emotionally chasing. That is not power, that is performance. If you want this to work, you have to be real. You have to be consistent. Music. You have to be grounded because the whole point is to change the energy. You're not begging for a response anymore. You're not available for inconsistency anymore. You're not the one keeping the connection alive anymore. Now, the second part of the power move is this. You stop over-explaining your needs. Women love to explain. You want him to understand. You want him to see your heart. You want him to know how his silence makes you feel. And that sounds reasonable, but it backfires when you're dealing with a man who already knows what he's doing. Let me tell you something. A man who cares does not need a long explanation to treat music you write. A man who respects you does not need a lecture to be consistent. A man who values you does not need you to write paragraphs to remember you exist. The more you explain, the more you look like you're trying to convince him that you deserve basic effort, and that is a dangerous position to be in as a woman. So, instead of explaining, you elevate. Instead of pleading, you detach. Instead of chasing, you choose. And the third part of the power move is this. You create distance without drama. No angry texts. No long voice notes in the music. No, I guess you don't care. No, I'm done with you. No, you always do this. No emotional explosions. Because emotional explosions give him an excuse. They allow him to say, you're too much. They allow him to say, you're crazy. They allow him to say, I can't deal with your emotions. And now you're not talking about his inconsistency music anymore. You're defending your reaction to it. You don't do that. You become calm, you become quiet, you become unavailable, you become focused, and that's when it hits him, because men don't respond to tears the way women think they will. They respond to consequences. They respond when they feel a shift. They respond when the access changes. They respond when the comfort is removed. See, right now he is comfortable. He knows you're there. He knows you'll answer. He knows you'll respond. He knows you'll forgive. He knows you'll be available. So you remove the comfort, not with threats, with absence. Now, let me tell you what this does psychologically. When you stop reaching out, his brain loses the free validation it was getting. When you stop music texting, he loses the emotional safety net. When you stop checking in, he loses the feeling of being in control. When a man loses control, he becomes curious.